Welcome to Wednesday morning yoga Pilates fusion. So we're going to start in a reclining position, but with a little bit of a lift if we can. So there's two different ways to do that. Oh, hold on. First, remove all the furry creatures from your blankets, and then you'll take your blanket and roll it up. Don't roll it up with the furry creature inside.
That is so fun.
So you can take your blanket, this is folded twice, and you could roll it up like this, and that'll be a little bit more narrow, which is the way I like it. You could also, instead of rolling it, you can sort of fold it about 6 inches wide, like this. I don't know if the 6 inches or so is going to come through on the TV screen, but that makes it a little bit flatter. And so if you're really sensitive to having something under your back, a blanket's going to be the better option. And then another option would be to use blocks. So if you have 2 yoga blocks or a yoga block and a pillow, you can put 1 block underneath your shoulder blades, 1 block underneath your head, and that'll create a lift. For today, I'm going to go with the blanket because it's a little bit softer. And then you just put that down the length of your spine. So it'll go lengthwise down like that. And when I lay down on it, I'll probably line the bottom of the blanket up right about where the bottom of my rib cage is. Oh, goodness. All right. So I'm going to leave my legs just straight out, but some people may want their feet on the floor so that there's a little bit more level. Like if your low back arches too much, you could do it this way. So for me, as long as I have the blanket up a little higher, it's usually not an issue, and I like the straight legs. Okay. So then I have this little sense that my shoulders kind of open around this blanket. So if I keep my arms, like that's kind of where my arms naturally want to fall anatomically. If I keep them there, then this work will be done just in the very deep stabilizer muscles of the shoulder, and they'll be allowed to sort of drop back, so that if I've spent a little bit too much time kind of hunching forward over my phone or my computer or whatever, that allows my shoulder to kind of return to a more neutral position, and then it'll kind of memorize that to help correct some postural imbalance I might have. If I were to take my arm out wide to the side, now it's going to give me a little bit more tug on my chest muscles, the bigger pectoralis muscle. And so if you're feeling a little bit compressed around the center of your chest, you could take the arms a little wider, open up that way. I'm going to go for the shoulder stabilizer position. So I'm going to put the arms a little closer. Now this area of my shoulder does not have a lot of nerve endings, so it's not going to be super sensitive. If it is, you can make some modifications because something's going on in that area for you. And then I'm just going to breathe nice and deep. I'm going to try to get my rib cage to expand some. I'm going to let my navel area expand some so that I work the muscles in between my ribs with my breath and letting these little stabilizer muscles. Now the muscles that stabilize the front of the shoulder are also secondary breathing muscles, and so when we ask the rib cage to expand, we work all those areas also with the breath. Just kind of let everything else drop away, so we're just here for this one moment right here that we're in. For another minute or so, minute and a half, just breathing and allowing the shoulder to relax. If this is, like if you work over a computer or you spend a lot of time over a sewing machine, just doing this for 10 minutes or even 15 minutes can be a really nice way to reset. For our purposes, we're just going to stay for a wee bit today, because we've got some other things we want to do. Take a nice big breath. Let go with a big deep sigh. And then to get out of here, I'm going to roll myself to one side and slide that blanket out. Or if you use blocks, you'll take those out from under you. And then just come on back onto your back and see what happens. So usually when I use the blanket, there's a kind of soft impression left behind. So this feels really good. If you reach up toward the ceiling, it'll pull your shoulder blade around the edges, and then you can kind of massage that area in between the shoulder blades against the floor. The right side for me is usually a little bit tighter, so I spend a little more time over there. But it feels nice. All right. So then, once you're done with your little massage, you can snug your shoulder blades back up underneath you. We're going to take the feet to the ground, and we're going to do a little rolling into bridge, out of bridge position. So the actual name for this is Dvipadipitham. Now you can leave your arms on the ground. I like to do this little bend in my elbow so I can really press my upper arms into the floor. So we're going to scoop the tailbone up and take the hips up. When you get to the top, you can just pause right there. Now I take my toes off the ground because it's a little bit easier for me to manipulate my hips without the drag. So then we're going to come down one vertebrae at a time. I'm really scooping in my tailbone, trying to feel each of those bones in my back hit the ground one at a time. There's a point where I get to that low back and everything comes down together. Sacrum returns to neutral. And that's it. So we're just going to inhale our way up. Try to linger on the exhale, come down one vertebrae at a time. We'll see what happens. I like to do a breath in between. Trying to get some articulation in the little individual bones. So we can really try to feel the spine moving. We're going to do 2 more rounds all together. Now once your pelvis kind of returns to neutral on that last round, you can pause for a moment. I'm going to do slightly wider legs and just windshield wiper them in and out a little bit. A little internal, external rotation. So then we're going to bring the knees in, give ourselves a little moment right there. And then we're going to take those legs over to one side. Now, you can go either to the left or the right. I took my legs to the right. I'm going to roll my left shoulder down to the ground a little bit more firmly and see if I can reach out through that arm with a little bit of furniture. And So I'm giving myself a little extra stretch now through that chest muscle. If your hand goes numb or it bothers your elbow, that's not the right position for your arm. So try slightly different position. And then if you want, you could try to let this leg come up over the top and over to create a little bit more stretch along the outer hip. If you already feel something there, you can probably skip that part. Take 2 more breaths. All right, so we're going to bring the top knee back to the center, then the bottom knee. We're going to pause right there for just a moment, see if you can feel a difference between the 2 shoulders, between the 2 chest muscles, and then we'll let the spine have a few seconds before we take the legs over the opposite direction. And again, I'm going to try to get my upper back as best I can to kind of roll down onto the floor. Now for me, this side's a little tighter, so I don't need the extra round, extra leg over position, but you can add that little extra, kind of take the leg around. Ooh, and just breathe. Okay, one more big breath. I'm finally feeling a little bit of a release there. And then we're going to come on back to the center, and then the next one. Okay. Now, we're going to take ourselves kind of back and forth. And this is the one where if you've got extra room in your house, you could stretch one or both of your legs out. And then when you come back to the center, draw the knees up and in. Come over the other way. Now if you're like me and your space is limited, just curl the knees up in towards the armpit, come back to the middle, bring the knees in. So we're going to travel with the knees about over the top rim of the pelvis, and then we're going to try to bring the knees in towards the heart or in towards the armpit, or straighten out the legs depending on what you're going to do. Now keep your shoulders as stable as you can. And so we'll just take this back and forth to give our obliques a chance to warm up. Who doesn't want toasty obliques, I always say. Plus it's kind of fun. So, some people might be moving a little faster, some a little slower, but we're going to do 2 more rounds. And when you're done with your 2 rounds, you're going to bring your knees up and then grab hold of one of those legs. Stretch the opposite leg all the way out. So I grabbed hold of my right leg, my left leg is stretched out. Once you get to that point, you can spin your foot in circles and just let your arms hug your leg in however close it's willing to go. If you can't grab hold of the leg with both arms, you can just use one hand. Or don't hug it at all, just lift the knee, it'll be fine. Spin your foot in both directions. So it goes circles inside and outside. And then we're going to point and flex and try to get a little bit of movement around the place where the toes meet the metatarsals in the center of the foot. So we'll see if we can get our foot bones moving back and forth a little bit here. All right, so we're going to keep hold of the leg maybe. It's possible we're going to let go. You and your hamstrings work this out. So we're going to see how straight the leg will get, and then bend the knee and hug it back in, okay? So we'll see how straight the leg will get. Bend the knee, hug it back in. See how straight it'll get. Hold steady right there, let go of the leg. So we're gonna secure the rest of the body. So the left leg is gonna get turned on just a little bit. So I've got the toes pointing straight up. I'm gonna dig my heel in slightly, bend the knee, and then I'm gonna secure my hips to the ground, hug the sides of my waist in, secure my upper arms to the ground, roll my shoulder blades down. So I've got every muscle in my body really active, and then this left leg is going to go across my body and make a big circle. I'm trying to hold everything completely still. So this is a nice stabilizer warm-up. Trying to keep our body from rocking around because we're holding so firmly through those side waist muscles. Now, when you get up to the top, pause there, and then we're gonna go out to the side, bring the legs together at the bottom, come straight up the top, okay? So out, bring them together, come straight up. Hold steady with your body, don't let that hip lift off the ground. Last one, we're gonna try anyway. All right, so now we're gonna bring that knee in. Oh, bring the other knee in, give yourself a little massage. Stretch both legs out and see if there's a difference in the way it feels. So my right hip is always my tighter hip, but it feels a little bit looser than the left one. So it's kind of fun to notice. So I'm gonna bring my left leg in, let my right leg hang out. Hold and steady, spin the foot in circles. And for now, my right leg is just relaxed. I'll get it all the muscles energized in a bit. So go the other direction with your circle. And then we're going to point and flex a bit. Alright, so then we're going to kick that heel up slowly, see if that leg will go straight, and then hug it in. You might have to let go of the leg because this is ridiculous. And then hug it in. You and your hamstrings, work it out. And then kick it up. We're going to hold it steady up there. Everything else is going to engage. I'm going to roll the right thigh so my toes point up, hug in through the sides of the waist, hug the shoulder blades in, press the arms down. Coming across, sweep in a circle. I've got to work around my plants and stuff, so I'm going to do my best. But I'm going to, mostly the work is to hold the hips steady anyway. So it doesn't matter if the circle is really huge, as long as I'm doing all this stabilizing work, okay? So a circle in whatever range of motion's right for you, given the circumstances. One more time. When you get to the top, we're going out, bringing the legs together, coming straight up the middle. Going out, bringing it together, coming straight up. Hold the hip nice and steady by squeezing the sides of the waist in. Good, last one. Bring that leg in. You can bring the other leg in. You can give yourself a hug or some little windshield wiper moves. Stretch out your legs and see how it went. It's pretty good. So we're gonna do the roll up, and the roll up involves really two kind of halves of the move. The first part is getting yourself curled into a little ball shape, and then the second part is getting yourself all the way upright. Now, if you can do that as one smooth movement, then that's fine. But what happens for a lot of us is we get to about here, or maybe a little higher, and then we have to force our way up. So what I'm gonna do is break this into two halves, so that it really asks me to use my abdominal muscles, especially the transverse abdominis, to do most of this work. Because it's going to make me stronger that way, rather than try to force my way up just for the look of the thing. So I'm going to do the first part of the roll-up 6 times, and then I'm going to do the second part of the roll-up, which is kind of the way back, 6 times. Okay, so I'm just going to roll up as far as I can go without throwing myself forward. Come back down and reach out. Now you can do it either way, okay? Coming up as far as I can, and then coming back down. And I really want to concentrate on pulling the sides of my waist in and really scooping that belly button. Scoop it and hug in the sides of the waist. Get all the air out. It's hard to talk and do this at the same time. Okay. I'm going to try not to pull with my neck. Really use the abs. Okay, last one. Okay. So then I'm going to come up to a seated position. And I'm going to do the second half of this. So first starting by kind of creating some length, folding forward as far as it'll go. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to roll down as far as I can go without losing control. Then I'm going to come back, Get tall, fold over the legs. Come back up, scoop the navel in, roll down as far as I can go without dropping back. So as soon as I feel my hip flexors start to take over, I'm gonna try to stop right there. Okay, so coming over the legs, scooping back. Get tall. When you get to the top, fold over your legs with your pelvis as much as you can. So now the back rounds as I come down. Beautiful. Sit up tall. We're going to do it twice more. Hold. And then scoop back. Lift. Fold. Not all of our pelvis is going to want to go all the way forward, so we're going to do our best. Now, you're going to roll yourself up until you're seated, so that's your last one. When you're sitting up, you're done. So you can, from there, come up to all fours. And once you get to all fours, this is your chance to sort of move your back around in a few different configurations. Make everything feel happy. Now, if you have tender wrists, you have a couple of options. One option is to let your hands stay slightly further forward. The other option would be for the spinal balance to take a block, put that under the elbow that would be your stabilizing arm, and then you can work with the other two limbs, and then this arm has a block. This is wobbly. You're going to have to engage a bit more around the shoulder to pull this off, but it is a way to keep your wrist out of it, okay? So if your wrists are bothering you today, you can do it that way. All right. If you don't have a block, like an upside down saucepan would work, just something that's about the height of your elbow when you're setting up. So we're going to take I'm going to take the left leg out in the right arm, start there. Reach out between those 2 points. Then we're going to curl in and draw the navel up and then stretch it back out. Now if it's too much with both hands, put the hand on the ground and just work the leg. So 2 limbs, or just one. That's up to you. 2 more. All right, so then we're going to stretch out, lower down. We're going to bring this leg all the way forward, and you could take a couple blocks or do it without the blocks. We're going to come into the lunge. Now, first thing I'm going to do is just make sure everything's lined up. Then I'm going to move my hip forward until I feel that lunge really develop. Then I'm going to move my hips back until I start to feel this hamstring stretch. Okay? So forward and back. If your kneecap doesn't love you moving forward and back, you can just pick one and hold it. Going forward, going back. Now I'm going to come forward, bring both hands to the inside, and I'm going to scoop that leg all the way back up. Give it a little shake. Bring that one down. Opposite side. So I've got the opposite leg and arm. Curl in, stretch out. Adjust with your hand as needed. Extend, curl, extend. 2 more. Extend. Good, so extend. I'm going to put the hand down. I'm going to bring the leg all the way forward. And again, I'm going to try to make sure first that my hip is lined up, and then I'm going to come forward and back. Just moving through this little stretch as a movement pattern rather than holding it steady. But you can hold it steady instead. So I'm going to take myself back to all fours, scoop that leg back, give it a little rinse, and then come down. Now, we're going to gonna do a little shoulder stretch, so we're gonna take the knees like maybe a tiny bit on the wider than child's pose side. You're gonna pick an arm, thread that underneath, and then see if you can get your shoulder and your head to comfortably come to the ground. Now you could wrap this arm behind your back. I like to use it, so I reach out and it's sort of, I'm pressing myself into the shoulder stretch. So I'm sort of pushing myself diagonally into that. And then you adjust the hips to keep your low back happy. It might feel good to roll a little more through the shoulders. It might not, so you can experiment a little bit with how far you should create a twist. Take one more big breath. And then we're going to come out of there. Give that arm a little bit of a rinse. A couple little cat-cowy kind of shapes, and then we'll do the opposite side. So we'll take the opposite arm under. Again, you kind of find your shoulder to the ground. Choose how you want to approach the opposite arm, helping out or not. Adjust the hips as you need to so your low back is happy. Take a nice deep breath. We're going to use the opposite arm to make some space. Come on out of there. Jiggle through the shoulders a bit. Now, if you'd like, you can come to a full plank, or you can shift the hips forward so that you're in a modified plank. You're going to draw the navel in nice and snug. Try to feel like you're not sinking into your shoulders, but you've got a little bit of a lift there. I've got the knees bent because that takes a little bit of pressure away from my kneecaps. We're going to keep that navel lifting, or if you're doing a full plank, you can keep the thighs and the navel lifting. Taking a nice big breath. We're going to lower all the way down to the belly. We're going to come through a series of cobras. So start with the hands quite high up under the shoulders. Okay? And then we're going to lift just a little baby lift so that it's really just your back muscles. Draw your elbows back. Okay? Come on back down. Slide the hands back a couple, like an inch or so. Lift, anchor through your legs, see if there's a tiny bit more space that you can get off the ground. Tiny bit further back. Lift, draw your elbows back, keep your neck loose. And then we're going to do it one more time. Slide the hands back. So I'm almost lined up with my ribs at this point. And lift. Good. Now, holding steady with a little bit of a lift and anchoring through the legs nice and firm. We're going to take the arms out to the sides so that we've got a little bit of movement here. I'm going to roll my right shoulder blade forward and my left shoulder blade back. It's almost like I'm trying to slide them into the center of my back like a figure 8. You can look up over that left shoulder. Come on back. Left shoulder goes forward, right shoulder goes back, and slide them. Oh, I'm noticing a little more resistance on that right shoulder blade. So coming around, and then the other side. And then one more time coming around to the right shoulder forward. And then the left. Give it a little jiggle, and then we're going to head ourselves back. Now, we can go into downward facing dog. If that's not appropriate, you can come to a tabletop position and hold steady there, or come all the way up to a standing position and hold in a half forward bend. Okay, so depending on what's right for you. If you go for downward dog, try to get your hands in a reasonable position so that it feels like they're the right distance apart for your shoulders. And then move your shoulder blades around a little bit. Should they go down? Should they go up a little? Like, where does it feel like your shoulders integrate with your upper back the best? And then give yourself a little walk through the heels once you've got your shoulders nicely planted on your back. And then we're just gonna kind of wander ourselves into a forward bend when you're ready to do that. If you want a couple more moments in dog, you can take those. I'm gonna rinse out my wrist a bit, and give them a little shake and some circles. Now I'm okay hanging upside down, but if your hamstrings are super tight, you can bend the knees and even lift yourself up halfway, okay? And then we're gonna come all the way up to standing when you're ready. Give yourself a nice big stretch. And then we're gonna find our way to the top of a mat. Now I'm gonna secure my hair and have a quick drink of water, because both of those will serve me better in the coming moments. So you can take that little moment to get wardrobe malfunctions adjusted or get a drink of water yourselves. Do your thing, yogis. All right. So then, once all that's been figured out, we're gonna stand in mountain pose. Now I've got my feet pointing forward. Usually my feet like to point slightly out to the sides. So just by pointing my toes forward, I feel something a little different in my legs and hips. Keep the knees just a little bit on the soft side so that they're not being locked out. Lift a little through the torso so your abs are engaged. Feels like you're trying to get a little taller without pushing the knees into a locked-in position. And let your shoulder blades relax down your back. Now, if it feels like your shoulders always want to hunch, you can try turning your arms out quite dramatically. But if your shoulder blades will relax, just let them do that. Be cautious about sticking your rib cage forward. Just let everything line itself up. And try to get the weight evenly distributed on your feet for the time being. So we're going to take a little tiptoe balance. So your arms can sweep up. I've got plants over here. So I'm going to keep this a really tight position. I'm just going to come up onto my tiptoes and come on back down. See if you can linger at the top before coming back down. If it gets off balance, you'll catch. No sweat, and start again. Okay, so we're going to reach up. We're going to come on back down. And one more time, we're going to reach up. Good. Now see if we can stay balanced on the toes. We're going to see if we can come into a chair pose. It's possible that we won't be able to do that. It's ridiculous. One more breath here. And then we're going to send the heels down, fold forward. Come up halfway. Exhale, fold. So we're going to step back into down dog. Oh. So we'll come forward into a plank. If you want to make your plank a little more challenging, you can take one leg off the ground. You could modify your plank and take one leg off the ground to create a little challenge. There's a tendency to drop the hips, so keep everything level. One more breath there. Then we'll lower down. Come into cobra, or if you like a different back bend, that'll work too. Come on back and take it back to down dog. Now we're going to take that right leg all the way up. Exhale, bring the knee in, curl up around it. Stretch it back, see if you can sink your left heel a bit, and then bring that knee in and step it forward. Now, however far it went is where it landed. Then you adjust your back foot. We're going to come up for warrior one. Now, I turned all my plants 180 degrees around because these guys like to smush themselves up against the wall, against the window. And every couple of weeks or so I'll turn them. The problem is that now we have to negotiate for space. So I might move this around a little bit. We're going to try. So I've got my hips positioned on a diagonal. I've got my front foot facing forward. My back foot's turned out just a bit. Your ankle joint will determine how far your leg is able to turn, okay? We don't want to be up on the toes. We want the heel on the ground. So wherever we can get the closest angle, that's where we're going to aim, okay? So we're going to take a big breath. I'm going to try to avoid my plant friends here. And we're going to stretch forward. So I've got a nice spine stretch. And then I'm going to roll up, kind of like we did with that bridge, except rolling up instead of rolling down, right? One vertebrae at a time. So we're going to stretch. And then roll up as best we can, avoiding all of our friends. One more time, stretch out. And roll up, anchor through your back foot. Whew. Beautiful. Now, We're gonna try an arm bind. If you can't get your arms to wrap behind your back very easily, you can use a towel or a strap. So I'm just gonna grab my palm on one hand, and then we're gonna take ourselves kind of to the diagonal. Let the head relax. I got the front knee bent, back leg nice and straight, and then I'm just gonna pick up my elbows. Some of you may be able to pick your hands up off your back and bring your arms up over your head. Just depends on your shoulders. So we'll work with what we got. 2 more breaths. And last one. So we're gonna release the hands. I'm gonna shoot my hand out in front of me as far as I can, about a foot or so in front of my foot. I'm gonna use this block, and then I'm gonna see, hopefully I'm not gonna hit the plants, but I'm gonna see if I can pick up my back leg. Okay, hold on. Let me move that a little bit, and then stretch out. So I'm as light as I can get on my fingertips, hold in this steady balance. This top leg is gonna come in. I'm gonna see if I can bring my knee and elbow together. Stretch out, still hold in the balance if I can. Bring it together, stretch it out one more time, bring it together. Now hold it, put your foot down, come up halfway, and then all the way to standing. Give yourself a big stretch. Oh, thanks, friends. And then find your mountain pose. And hopefully, we might have a little difference that we can feel. Right side to left side. I feel a little different. I don't know if you do or not. Okay, so we're going to try that again. We're going to come up onto our tiptoes and come down. Come up onto our tiptoes and come down. Come up to the tiptoes, hold steady. See if we can take a tiptoe chair. Again, it might be that I put the feet down because this is not going to work out today. I'm actively lifting my thighs up, trying to hold steady. And then we're going to put the heels down, fold forward. Come up halfway. Fold, and we'll step back into down dog. Okay. So, we're going to come to a plank. And again, you could do a lifted leg or a full plank. You could do a modified plank with a lifted leg. Keep the hips nice and level, hug in through the navel. Hold steady. One more. Excellent. Lower down. And then you'll come to your cobra. And we'll come back to dog. We're going to take the left leg up this time. Bring the knee in. Stretch it back. We'll step it forward. So again, wherever it goes is fine. And then I just adjust if I need a little extra room. And then we're going to come up for warrior one. I'm going to try to find a place that's not too slippery. Okay, so again, I'm energizing this hip, so not trying to turn the hip forward. It follows my leg, okay? Leg is lifting, heel is pressing back. I can turn my ribs forward, and then I'm gonna get the spine stretch. So it might be better to spine stretch slightly to the diagonal, so you'll feel this out. So we're gonna stretch out, and then roll up. Okay, stretch out, reach through the spine, roll up. One more time, stretch out, roll up as best you can. Try to feel each little vertebrae, stack up on top, and then we're going to take the arms and wrap them around. So last time I held onto my left hand, this time I'll hold onto my right hand. We're going to take ourselves forward at the diagonal, lift through this back leg, and I'm just going to lift my elbows, but maybe your arms come up. Relax your neck. Breathe. arms with the exhale. I'm going to reach out in front of me. Again, I'm going to use a block here, and I'm going to shift the weight. Oh, see if I can get balanced on this left leg. Ooh, some days are wobbly balance days, y'all. So we work with it. And then I'm going to bring the knee and the elbow together. Ooh, stretch them out. Catch if you fall. And then try again. And stretch it out. And try again. And stretch it out. Step back. This time we're going into down dog. And then feel that. And we'll come forward and lower all the way down. Okay. So we're going to do our little cobras. Let's see if anything has changed. Anchor the legs. Lift little baby cobra, high hands. Slide your hands back. Lift. Slide your hands back. Lift. Good. All right, slide the hands back. Lift. Come on down just halfway. Arms out to the sides. Right shoulder blade forward, left back. Left shoulder blade forward, right back. Right one. Left one. Right one. Left one. And then we'll come on back. Bend your knees. Give yourself a little moment. I'm going to turn my head one direction. All right, now you can lace your fingers together behind your back. I'm going to just let my arms rest. I've got my head resting. We're going to kick the heels in. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to extend and lift. Hug everything to the midline. Come down opposite cheek. 1, 2, 3. Lift. And down. 1, 2, 3. Lift. Head comes to the middle. Head turns. 1, 2, 3. Lift. And down. 1, 2, 3. Lift. And down. 1, 2, 3. Lift. And down. One more on each side. 1, 2, 3. Lift. And down. 1, 2, 3. Lift. A little higher. Come on down. Take your right arm. Reach it up. Roll into your right side. Make sure you get enough room around plants and other objects. Okay, hips are stacked on top. Shoulders are stacked on top. One shoulder on top of the other. One hip on top of the other. I'm going to try to keep this container of my torso quite stable. So I'm lifting through the sides of the waist. Okay, squeezing in. I'm going to keep the legs nice and steady. I'm going to bring the feet behind me. Knees stay down. Hip stays up. So there's a tendency for the hip to roll forward. So find that nice stable place. If you can do it, we're going to do open the knees and extend the leg. If that's too much, just open the knee and then we'll come back, okay? Open, extend, bring it together and close the knees. So we get this nice workout for the outer hip. This is my favorite one of all the ones that exist for the hip. I like this one the most. It feels the most like interpretive dance, truth be told. Okay, so we're gonna keep it nice and steady. We're not in a hurry. 2 more to go. All right, so once you've finished your 2, we're gonna straighten the legs out. Now we're gonna try to hover the legs a bit. This top leg is gonna make a circle. So if it's too wobbly, put the leg down on the bottom. You can even bend the knee, okay? So circle that top leg in one direction, trying to hold steady through your core. Pause and circle it the other direction. Hold steady. One more. Excellent. Bring the legs together, bring them down. Now we're going to take this top leg and bring it forward. You can, if you like, bend that knee and put the foot on the ground, or leave it straight, or bend it and leave the knee resting on the ground. So it's up to you. I like to do this little hip stretch and then bring the hips and the shoulders back into alignment. Lift the bottom leg. You're going to lift your bottom side of your waist as well. Then we're going to pulse this leg up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it steady in a lifted position and see if you can lift just a little higher with the side of your waist. 10, 9, 8, 7. Don't let that leg fall. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time, pulsing. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that leg down. We're going to take this whole thing and just roll it back into a twist for a moment. This is going to turn into a bit of a pigeon stretch. I'm going to do the pigeon on my back, but if for any reason you wanted to roll onto your belly and tuck that leg under, you could. That's up to you, friends. I'm going to go into this version and bring the legs in close. So you choose the pose that gives you the nicest little stretch there in your backside or outer hip, depending on where you feel it. I like to lay on my back sometimes for this version because you can give yourself a little back massage while you're hanging out here. So we'll spend about a minute here just breathing. Take a nice deep breath. Now, if you did the regular version of the pigeon, you're going to flip over onto your back. The rest of us are going to take ourselves down so that the leg is still resting across. It's just now my foot is on the floor. It's possible that your foot was like that already. So you're already ready for what happens next. So we're going to come back to this idea of lifting the hips and coming back down, but now with this one leg across. If you get hamstring cramps in the back of your leg, come down, give your legs a little break. You can also, if it's just ridiculous, you can come back to 2 legs on the ground and do it that way. So snuggle your shoulder blades under. We're going to scoop the hips up, extend that leg, bring it back, and then curl down nice and steady. Nice and slow, okay? Extend up, leg, ankle, and then curl down. Oh, a little slow. As slow as you can go given the circumstances. Good, we're gonna do that about 3 more times. We're lifted up, extend, come back, scoop down, relax. Here we go, lift up, extend, ankle, roll down. Good, I think we have 1 more to go. Scoop up, extend, ankle, and then come on down nice and slow. You know, it's not as easy when you do it with 1 leg. Straighten everything out, give it a little zhuzh. So we're going to do that whole thing again on the other side, which means I'm going to spin around so that I will be still facing the camera. Keep track of you guys. To the very minimal amount that I can. Okay. If you've got a simple, like you just need to move your phone, you can just move it to the other side. All right, so we're lining it up. Hips shoulders, everything nice and stable. Lift through the sides of the waist. Bring your feet back. Knees are down, hips stable. We're gonna lift the knee, extend the leg if that's available. Bring the toes together, bring the knees together. So we'll just take these little clams or butterfly kicks. You decide what they're called. Try not to let your hip drop forward. Keep that steady lift through the side of the waist. So the legs are doing all kinds of fun things for our hip, but the core work here is stabilization, which is really how our core works. So it's much more effective to train the core as a stabilizer. It's just more life true. Okay, we got 3 more to go. And last one. All right, so then we're gonna bring the legs back together. We're gonna straighten them out. Find that steady place where your hips and your shoulders can stay steady and lifted. See if you can lift both legs a little off the floor. Again, you can always take that bottom leg back to the ground. We're gonna take the leg and circle it, and I'm trying to hold steady through the sides of my waist. You can put your arm up front if that would help. 2 more, 1 more, pause. So we're gonna circle the opposite direction, trying to hold that bottom leg just a little bit off the floor and really suck in through the sides of the waist. 3, 2, 1, bring it all back together. So this top leg is coming off the top of the stack. And I'm gonna lift the bottom leg up. We're gonna pulse it up for 10, 9, 8, lift the side of your waist, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now hold that leg up there and lift through the side of the waist again. 10, 9, 8, 7, don't let the waist drop. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time, pulse it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it down. And again, we're gonna roll into a little bit of a twist. It feels good. And then we're gonna roll into our pigeon. So however you want to set that up for yourself. My favorite because I get to look at the underside of all the leaves in my house. They have cool textures. The underside of leaves are underappreciated, I say. This might be the time where you get to look at the underside of your dog who's currently positioned over your face. You know, interesting things happen when you're doing the pigeon pose on your back. You guys have a nice stretch in your hip? I do. So we're going to stay for about 4 more breaths. So 1 more big inhale. And then we're going to let the legs travel back down to the ground. I'm going to keep this little 1 leg on top position. If you were doing the regular pigeon, you can roll onto your back and join us here. So again, we're going to snuggle the shoulder blades under. So again, this might be a thing where you do the bridge with both feet on the ground. Maybe this will work out, but we can do this. This is my hamstring that's notorious for cramping up, so we'll see how it goes. So we're going to scoop the hips up, extend, bring the heel back, and then down as slow as you can go, 1 vertebrae at a time, okay? So hips go up, extend, heel down, try to hold the hips steady that whole time, and then we come down nice and slow. Let's try 3 more rounds. Scooping up, reach, heel, scoop down, relax. Here we go, scoop up, reach, heel, scoop down. Okay, last one. Here we go. Scoop it up, reach, heel, and then come down. 1 vertebrae at a time. When you're all the way to the ground, we get to release everything. Now, friends, it's time for my favorite part, which is Shavasana. Now, it's possible that you don't understand how important this is to your nervous system and you're going to leave. But before you leave, make sure you leave me a note telling me that you were here in the comments section, the little chat section, so I can appropriately count you, okay? Otherwise, do Shavasana, it's good for you. It's like, it's an opportunity for your whole nervous system to just let go. And when was the last time it had that opportunity, you guys? So you're gonna stretch your legs out. If your low back is uncomfortable, put your blanket up underneath your legs or a pillow. You can also just position your legs so your feet are on the floor. And then we're going to let the shoulders relax completely. Let go of any tension around the neck. You might even need a little change in positioning for your neck. Maybe even a little pillow or a blanket under your head. Relax the jaw. And the lips. Relax around your eyes. See if you can let the orb of the eye itself kind of sink back a little into the back of the head. Let go with a sigh. Just let yourself relax. Even though it feels like you should probably be doing something, you shouldn't. You're here for this. You signed up for this today. You get to take a moment to yourself. To just breathe and be. Take a nice big breath. And let go with a big deep sigh. Wiggle your fingers and toes. You did it. You stayed. You relaxed. Doesn't it feel nice? Spread out your fingers and toes. Give your whole body a stretch. Give yourself a back massage for the road. And then we'll roll around and come up. Thank you for joining me for some Pilates Fusion on the Wednesday morning. Take a big breath. Big sigh. Namaste. Welcome to the rest of your day, yogis.